Hello everyone, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Found Out About Hinata's Feelings. This story is made by Rusted Derelict, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto stood atop the pole in Konoha, happy to be back. He looked out at the town contentedly. It's just how it was when I left, except, He noted that Tsunde's face had joined the other Hokage on the cliff face. Granny Tsunde's been added. Naruto, yelled a familiar voice below. Naruto looked down. It was Sakura. He jumped down before the pink-haired Kunoichi. Sakura-chan, it's nice to see you again, he grinned. Same here, she said happily. She paused and then added, you've grown. Yeah, I'm no longer a little squirt, huh? He replied excitedly. Well, everyone's grown since you've been gone, so you may still be little, she teased and then giggled to see his defensive reaction. Well, big deal. I'm a load stronger now. Who cares about height anyhow? He proclaimed. Well, she said, still giggling, you were the one that brought it up. But, yeah, everyone's grown. Shikamaru, Chuji, that was expected though, Tenten, Neji and Hinata. She had emphasized the last name with a sort of sing-song tone. Naruto was nonplussed. I'm sure they've all grown. He looked out at an approaching figure whose head resembled a pineapple in some ways. He decided he'd ask now before he was interrupted, but something kept nagging him in the back of his mind. You wanna go out later tonight? As he finished the question, something in the back of his head told him, you don't want to go though. No, sorry Naruto, I don't, she said simply. I think you really should just give up on me. There are some other cute girls you could look into. Oh, good, because I really didn't want to go out with you anyway. Hey, makes me wonder why I asked, he said without thinking. Sakura chuckled with an edge in her voice. Helping Hinata or not, she wasn't going to stand for such an insult. Yeah, that's funny because, smack. I was wondering why you did too. Naruto flew up towards Pineapple Head, yelling, Banzai. All the while, he crashed into the figure that said as they went down, I come to see him and this happens. How troublesome. Naruto recognized the voice. Shikamaru, what's up? He asked happily. Not much. Your ass is uncomfortably close to my face though. And if this wasn't such a wonderful position, I'd just stare at it all day, he said as sarcastically as possible. Naruto apologized and got up. He helped Shikamaru up too and they both turned to Sakura, who was running up to the two. Sakura had cooled down and looked at Shikamaru. Sorry about that. Oh, no problem. I love having boss launched at me at high speeds, said Shikamaru. He turned to Naruto and said, long time no see. Thought I'd have preferred to have greeted you and not your ass first. Naruto laughed. Sorry about that. Blame Sakura, he said. Blame your own stupidity, said Sakura, half annoyed, half amused. Just then, Temari joined them. Oh, you're back. And I'd use density, Sakura. She greeted Naruto and then turned to Shikamaru and said, come on, you greeted him, we've got to get back. You guys on a date? Asked Naruto slyly. No, we're not, said Temari, perhaps a bit too quickly and bit edgily. Sakura smirked slightly. Temari blushed softly. Everyone keeps asking that. Presiding over the Chunin exam's troublesome enough. Stop making things more complicated, complained Shikamaru, blushing very slightly. You're monitoring them? Asked Naruto. Yeah, it's troublesome but I'm a jonin, said Shikamaru unenthusiastically. Congrats, said Naruto, a bit sadly. When he inquired about Gaara and found he was made Kazekage, he said simply, I'm glad. His smile was sad but happy. Everyone's a Chunin now, Naruto, so I'd suppose that you should get the shock and sadness in and out of your system quickly, said Shikamaru. Naruto fell onto all fours, moping. I'm the only genin out of my friends, he said unhappily. Cheer up, Naruto, said Sakura sympathetically, let's go see Kakashi. Naruto perked up. Yeah, I've got something to give him. He got up and grabbed Sakura by the arm, dragging her toward the Hokage's office, believing Kakashi to be there. Didn't even say goodbye, said Shikamaru, half dejected, half amused. He turned and looked at Temari, who was looking away. She turned to look at him suddenly, expecting him to still be watching the two, to find herself staring directly into his eyes. They both blushed softly. That bastard's always insinuating something, said Shikamaru awkwardly. Temari said nothing and simply followed him as he walked back to his post. Off behind a distant building, a figure was peeking around a corner, watching the genin bound happily to the Hokage's office. Naruto, it's great to see you, said Tsunade happily. Nice to see you too, Granny Tsunade, said Naruto. That the only person you're happy to see, Naruto, said a voice just outside the window. Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto, bounding towards the window to greet his teacher. How have you been? Asked Kakashi happily over Ika Paradise. Great. I've got something for you, said Naruto, reaching into his pouch and extracting a book. Oh, it can't be. It can't be, said Kakashi excitedly and extending trembling hands, the latest in the Ika series, and it hasn't even been released. Naruto grinned happily at his sensei's reaction. Ah, Naruto and Sakura, said Tsunade, Kakashi has something to tell you too. Right, said Kakashi, jumping into the office, we've got some training to do. I want to see how you guys have progressed. Naruto and Sakura stared at him, half shocked, half apprehensive. Naruto was returning to his apartment, tired but content in succeeding in procuring a bell from Kakashi. As he was walking, he heard a strange click. It sounded like a camera shutter. He looked around quickly. What could have made that noise? He walked soundlessly towards where he heard the click and called out, hello. Someone there. When no reply came, he shrugged and continued home, a bit quicker now and using the rooftops as a means to get there. He suddenly felt that he was being followed. He stopped and turned around. Still nothing. He continued forward again, moving much faster and making sudden changes in direction. He picked up speed and stopped at his front door suddenly. He heard nothing. Guess it was just my imagination, he said relieved. Suddenly he heard a noise. Came another familiar voice. Crash. Naruto felt himself being launched through his front door and hit the floor hard. Stars twinkling before his eyes, he stared down at the mass that lay upon him. Hinata-chan. He asked tentatively. Why did I use chan? He thought to himself immediately afterwards. He prodded her head softly. Hinata hoped if she lay still long enough, Naruto would assume that she had passed out from the impact. When her felt him poking her in the head, she began to blush much more strongly than she already was. She became aware of how warm Naruto was and how his heartbeat was slowly changing from the violent tattoo against his chest to a soft and steady rhythm. It comforted her and she felt drowsy suddenly. I have to stay awake, she thought to herself, I can't fall asleep. She shook herself physically to ward off sleep, alerting Naruto that she was indeed okay. Hinata-chan, he said. I said chan again. He thought. Are you okay? Asked Naruto once more, prodding her head again. Hinata steeled her wool and looked up at him. His face was inches from hers. She couldn't take it and fainted. Outside, a certain pink-haired ninja was watching the scene. She turned around and jumped off into the night, smiling to herself and muttering, perfect. Hinata awoke to find a warm mass enshrouding her. She felt unbelievably comfortable and almost fell back asleep. A familiar smell greeted her nose. She had smelled it just last night. She opened her eyes and found Naruto's jacket covering her. She sat up suddenly and realized she was on his bed. Oh my, what happened? She said to herself, blushing and feeling terrified at once. Memories of last night flooded into her all at once and she slumped backwards, her face in her hands, thrashing about. I can't believe I did that, she thought frantically, just for a stupid photo. She got up and decided she had best explain herself to Naruto. Hopefully, he didn't hate her. She didn't realize how far from the truth this idea was. Naruto was in the kitchen, looking through the photos on the camera. It was digital. Odd, he thought to himself, apart from a few of her teammates and her family, all these pictures are pictures of me. Indeed they were, pictures of Naruto from a few years ago and from yesterday. They numbered, strangely only in the tens. He noticed that none of them were from good vantage points. They were all distant and removed. If she wanted to take my picture, she could have asked, he thought, I wouldn't mind. He found himself suddenly the action with fondness. Why did I do that? And speaking of weird things, why'd I call her Chan? He contemplated silently. Wait, Hinata always blushes when she sees me, she usually faints afterwards or if I touch her or get unnaturally close, like yesterday, where have I seen that behavior before? Naruto's mind was racing, he racked his brains for that familiar memory, aha. He suddenly said aloud, Ero-sanin. He wrote about a girl who was in love with this guy that always acted like. Naruto cut himself off suddenly. A strange feeling filled him, a feeling like he was eating his last, most delicious bowl of ramen ever, a feeling that mixed filling joy with empty sadness. He felt unusual, like he had been presented with something he had never really had. Hi, Hinata-chan, loves me. He said finally, what does that mean? I mean, no one's ever loved me, at least not like that. Hinata stood in the doorway and made a motion to walk towards him. She would just have to confirm everything he just said and hope he didn't hate her. But as she began to walk, Naruto suddenly burst out. What do I do? I mean, if she really does love, I think I might just be happy, but, how can I love her and not screw up? What if I do something to make her hate me? I've had crushes but I didn't know anyone could possibly like me. And then there's the QB. What if she found out? He slammed his fist on the table. Hinata walked over silently and put her arms around Naruto from behind, resting her chin on his shoulder. Naruto jerked up slightly. She'd say that she begs to differ, whispered Hinata, blushing furiously. She tilted her head against his. Naruto's mouth fell open slightly in surprise. For a moment he did nothing, but then he returned the motion. Thanks, Hinata-chan. Naruto did not know how long he sat there, Hinata's face pressed against his, the world still and unchanging for that minute, or hour, or star-crossed month. All that mattered to him is that she was at his side and he was at hers. For a while longer he said nothing, then finally spoke, turning his head slightly and spoke softly, a gentle caress and innocent curiosity in his voice. Hinata, if you loved me, why didn't you tell me? Hinata said nothing for a long while. She knew the answer, but she just wasn't sure what kept her from delivering it. At last she spoke, whispering, I thought you'd hate me. I thought you'd think I was weird for loving you at such a young age. Even now, I feel like. Naruto stood up, turned around and put his hands on Hinata's shoulders. Looking her in the eye and smiling he said, and I just finished thinking that I'd do something wrong to make you hate me and that I'd be awkward and stuff, didn't I? And what did you say? You shot my self-doubts to hell. Hinata giggled, he was right after all. Perhaps her fear was just her being silly. I guess you're right, Naruto-kun. But, what should we do now? Well, first and foremost, I say we go on a date, replied Naruto happily. But suddenly, shadow crossed over his face, but, you have to explain to your dad what happened, and I probably do too. I doubt he'd want you dating someone like me who lives, well, here. He waved his arms in a sort of pathetic gesture to his surroundings. He'd never let you date me, especially with the QB in me, he said sadly and pathetically. The happiness of the prospect of Hinata in his future suddenly was ebbing away, her radiant image replaced by the coldness of Hiashi Hyuga. Naruto suddenly felt a soft sensation on his forehead. Hinata had kissed it, she had to stand on tiptoe to do so. She pulled back, blushing and said softly, things will be fine. Naruto shook his head, blushing as well and laughed softly and then said, such blind optimism. All right, if you think so, let's go tell him what we intend to do. Hiashi considered the two that were kneeling before him. He reached over and picked up his cup of tea. Sipping it, almost absent-mindedly he looked up at the ceiling. Well, it isn't like I wasn't entirely taken by surprise by this turn of events. She does indeed like him. But the QB, his birth, his reputation, him in general. They are so different from the kind of suitor I expected. Perhaps Naruto was indeed a rather large departure from tradition. Orphaned, a Jinchuriki, a troublemaker, not a particularly outstanding ninja, at least, in the usual sense. Yes, this was indeed something to be considered well. Thought Hiashi suddenly, but then again, he is a determined fellow, all those failures at the academy and he still kept going for it. His unconventional methods and techniques actually worked. His dream of becoming Hokage is known very well by most, if not all of the village. Hiashi chuckled softly, startling the two before him. He chuckled a little more at this reaction and continued his thoughts. He beat Neji. Neji had surpassed most of the main house in ability, and Naruto beat him with unconventional strategy and determination. And chakra, that chakra, it was immense and insane, a sinister force used, yet not to do evil, simply to beat an opponent in an examination. Of course, Naruto had also beaten some sense into Neji. Hiashi at last spoke, his tone neutral, but his eyes with the slightest softness. I do not approve. Hinata opened her mouth in response to this reply, but was cut short suddenly when Hiashi resumed his sentence. I do not approve, he continued, wholeheartedly. He sat in silence a moment longer. Naruto, you are an unusual ninja and boy. The little I know of you is split so cleanly between good and bad that I simply cannot make an honest judgment. As such, I allow you to date my daughter. Naruto's face lit up so quickly he looked like a searchlight. Then, he began, but was cut short. But, if I find you've done something to harm my daughter, said Hiashi in a dangerous tone, woe betide you when the news reaches me. The searchlight that was Naruto's face dimmed to about a simple room bulb. Thank you, he said awkwardly, inclining his head. He looked up at Hinata and beamed and then smiled politely at Hiashi. With that matter set, you may leave, said Hiashi, smiling very softly. The two got up and bowed and left the room. Hiashi laughed softly when he saw they were well out of earshot, but did not notice Neji walking by. Kids these days, he said, like she would have listened had I forbade her. Neji opened the sliding door a bit and popped his head into the room. Forbade whom? He asked, if you don't mind me inquiring. Hinata. She and Naruto were in here just now. He was asking for permission to date her, said Hiashi simply. Neji nodded neutrally and shut the door. He walked off, but as he did his face darkened. If he tries anything funny, he muttered, but the rest was lost under his breath. The date went well enough, thought Naruto and Hinata. They had walked around the village and in the surrounding woods, taking in different scenery, not doing anything in particular, just enjoying each other's company. The two were sitting at the moment in a tree just outside the main entrance gate to the village. Not many people went in or out, so they were more or less undisturbed. Naruto was enjoying just having Hinata between his legs as she reclined on his chest. He put his head on her shoulder and blew at her hair. Hinata did not seem to notice. She, not Naruto, was the one having rather dirty thoughts as to what they could be doing in this tree. But, I've never kissed anyone just plainly on the lips, let alone shoved my tongue halfway down their tea, she thought, steadily blushing a deeper and deeper red. Another thought suddenly hit her. What does he taste like? What do kisses in general taste like? It just someone else's lips, or tongue, so I guess it'd taste like whatever they eat, right? Ramen. He'd taste like ramen. She jumped suddenly when he felt something poke her side. It was Naruto's finger. Hey, Hinata, he said a little sheepishly, I love being up in this tree with you, but I'm getting kind of hungry. Wanna go grab some ramen at Ichiraku? Hinata felt herself almost faint. When she swayed forward suddenly Naruto reacted on instinct and wrapped his arms around her chest. Hinata, are you okay? He asked her loudly. He took sudden notice of a delightful softness in his hands. Oh God, wait, no. He thought frantically. It was too late. I'm fine Naruto-ku, Hinata began, but became aware of an enjoyable pressure on her BS. They were Naruto's hands. Hinata fainted promptly. What's this smell? It's that smell from this morning. It's Naruto, thought Hinata dreamily, and that soft beating, it's his heart. So, soothing, Hinata drifted back to sleep. Naruto was carrying Hinata, bridal style, so it didn't appear as if he hit her on the head and was off to have his way with her and stepped into Ichiraku ramen. He ordered 2 bowls and whispered down to Hinata, Hinata, we're here, you can wake up now. Hinata's eyes fluttered open. She became aware of Naruto's arms under her back and legs. She said, struggling to get up and falling out of his hands onto the floor in the process. I'm sorry for burdening you. She apologized as she got up. Naruto sweat dropped and said, It's okay. I wouldn't have been carrying you if I hadn't, you see, I, kinda, MMBL, he blushed darkly. Hinata remembered suddenly and blushed as dark as he did. It's okay, she began awkwardly, I was just having odd thoughts and I almost fell out and, she stopped her sentence. 2 bowls of ramen, yelled the shopkeeper, placing them on the counter in front of him. The two sat down and ate in the awkward air. It dissipated soon thereafter, however, and by the end of the meal, the two had forgotten it. After a short, awkward fight on who would pay, neither of them won and the bill was split, they set off for Naruto's house. Naruto started up a conversation on the photos Hinata had taken. They're good, he said, I didn't know you liked taking photos. Yes, I do, replied Hinata with a slight tone of embarrassment, but I'm still an amateur, and, well, I was hoping we could take one, together. She said this last part very fast. She half hoped he hadn't heard. Of course. It is our first date. Why would I say no? He said, correctly guessing why she had said it with such speed. Hinata took out her camera, but then asked, really? What happened next didn't register until halfway through. She felt the camera being pulled out of her hands, something soft and ramen tasting being pressed against her lips, her eyes widened, and a flash and click. Naruto was grinning from ear to ear, blushing a bit and holding the camera. I said I wanted to, didn't I? In a teasing tone. Look, he said, holding up the camera to show the picture he had just taken, revealing a side shot of a blushing Naruto kissing a surprised Hinata, like it. Hinata looked down at the ground and nodded. She stood there silently for a moment. Naruto felt slightly off-put. Had he acted a bit too rashly? Her body seemed to quiver for a moment, but then she suddenly sprang forward, her arms open and wrapped him in a tight embrace, kissing him full on the mouth. Naruto returned the gesture happily after a moment's surprise, embracing her with equal enthusiasm. Another year-long second passed and they both pulled away slightly, still holding one another. Hinata, would you like to be my girlfriend? Asked Naruto. The question sounded as stupid to him out loud as it had in his head, as it had since the beginning of the date. Another kiss was Hinata's reply. Naruto awoke the next morning in a strange daze. Last night had seemed too good, too perfect, it was all ethereal and distant. He absent-mindedly touched his lips, and that seemed to bring him to the realization that Hinata was indeed his girlfriend. He stretched and got out of bed, yawning. Wonder what I should do today. He wondered aloud. Seeing Hinata seemed like the obvious answer, but do what? His question would be answered in the form of a pink-haired kunoichi knocking at his door. Naruto mumbled that he'd be there in a moment and got dressed. His bedtime hat, however, was still on. It seemed age didn't deter him from wearing it. Opening the door, he said sleepily, yes. He rubbed his eyes and noticed that it was Sakura. Oh, Sakura-chan. What are you doing here so early? Sakura smiled in a very knowing sort of way, we've got a mission from Tsunade. But why are you so sleeping, The glint in her eye was blinding. Naruto, as was typical, didn't catch on. Nothing. I was out a bit late, he said casually. He didn't know where Sakura was going with this, he had gone on a date, but why would that matter? Really, nothing extraordinary happened, she asked. Her tone was unbearable. I went on a date with Hinata, if that's why you keep asking, said Naruto with a somewhat annoyed look on his face. Sakura smiled. Great. My plan worked. She cried happily, not that I didn't know, of course. She held up some pictures, grinning broadly. All of them were of the date from the night before, including the rather long kiss Naruto and Hinata shared. Naruto's jaw dropped. Where the hell did you get those, damn it? He asked furiously. Sakura laughed at his reaction. I took them, of course, you idiot. You better not show anyone. He fumed. Or, you guys make a cute couple, what does it matter if I showed Ino, Temari, Tenten, Lee, Chuji, and Shikamaru? She said, teasing him. Wait, just a second. You told all of them that. What else did you tell them? Asked Naruto in a panic. Oh, that I set it up. When you left, Hinata was really bummed out, so I decided pull a string to make her feel better. My own, explained Sakura. She motioned towards the Hokage's office. Naruto understood and the two set off. I decided I'd just remove myself, so you'd look for someone else, that someone being Hinata, said Sakura as she continued her explanation. I wanted to help her tell you that she liked you, but it seems, from what she says, that her clumsiness is what helped really. So you played matchmaker, said Naruto, his eyes half closed in disbelief. Exactly, said Sakura happily, so I stalked you guys for a while and got some good pictures. That's kinda creepy, Sakura-chan, said Naruto uneasily. But you're so cute together, she said happily. Ah, I'm glad you think so, replied Naruto, sweat dropping. Well, you two are the first ones here, said the fifth, we're still awaiting your teammates for this mission. What are we doing, Granny Tsunade? Asked Naruto. I'll explain when everyone gets here, replied Tsunade as a knock was heard on the door. Come in, she said. It was Hinata. She blushed softly at the sight of Naruto and walked into the office. Naruto ran up to her and threw his arms around her. She responded after a slight shock and kissed him on the cheek. Hi, Naruto-kun. Sleep good, Hina, began Naruto, but heard a low rumble from the doorway. He looked over and noticed Shino and Kiba were there. Shino didn't seem, well, he never seemed in any way emotional, but Kiba seemed more than a little pissed off. What are you doing to our teammate? Asked Kiba, his voice a low growl. Naruto replied uneasily, hugging her. Relationships with other teammates aren't the best course of action anyway, Kiba, said Shino erratically, they can present too many problems in a battlefield situation. I don't care about him dating her. I care about what he's gonna do to her, said Kiba defensively. Naruto had let go of Hinata at this point, hoping to drop the awkward air that he had created. He would soon find the error in this course of action. Come on, Kiba, said Naruto evasively, what am I gonna try to pull? ? He couldn't finish his statement because as he took a step towards Kiba, hoping to defuse the situation, the clumsy ninja tripped over his own feet. That's actually kind of pathetic, and felt his face connect with what felt two good-sized mounds of softness. Instantly, the scene in the tree from yesterday appeared in Naruto's head, as vibrant as the sun. He could also tell that he was in mortal peril. MRFM, MRMM, URF. Tried to explain Naruto through Hinata's chest. Hinata decided to giggle at the most inopportune time, saying, Naruto-kun. That tickles. At that moment, Neji walked, apologizing for his lateness, his eyes closed. When he opened them, he wished he hadn't. You just had to give me a reason to KU, didn't you, Naruto? Remarked Neji with a deep contempt in his voice. Naruto knew when he was screwed, and Naruto knew when he really screwed. But now, Naruto realized his was royally fed in every possible orifice. The gods smiled upon him, however, and delayed his fate when a distraction arrived in a green jumpsuit to interrupt the mouse heir. Hokage-sama, yelled Lee as he ran into the room, I apologize for my tardiness. He noticed the position Naruto was in and remarked energetically, Naruto. I don't suggest you do that in public, but I would like to congratulate you on becoming Hinata's boyfriend. Naruto took this moment to pull away and remove himself as far from Neji and Kiba as he possibly could while still remaining in the Hokage's office. Hiyashi's words echoed painfully through his head. I swear, I'll never let it happen again. He yelled out in terror. Hinata went over to comfort him, albeit rather uneasily. She could feel the glares on her back, all trying to penetrate her and Naruto. Tsunade broke the awful air with the remark, well, with everyone here, I'd like to brief you on your mission. Everyone looked at the fifth. A hotel in a nearby town is gaining a reputation, she began, for having 1 out of every 5 of its customers ending up S. But people keep flocking to it, it's that good of a hotel. What a bunch of dumbasses, said Sakura. Well, it's not that so much, said Tsunade, the town has probably had some unusual jutsu cast over it, because the guests that only in specific rooms, because they are never seen again, but their organs are. Everyone recoiled slightly. All that is ever left is a pile of all the human organs on the bed, continued the Hokage, the boss themselves are never seen again. Well, then it's a body harvesting operation, said Shino plainly, they're using them as vessels for Justu most likely. Yes, agreed Tsunade, and you 6 have to stop it. However, you can't let whoever is running this know, you'll be going in dressed as simple tourists. This is more or less a stealth mission, simply done out in the open. Fair enough, said Neji, who's coming with us? I am, said a voice from the doorway, it was Kakashi. He strode into the room, reading the book Naruto had given him just a while ago. I will be supervising this little field TS, he said in his usual monotone. Field TS? Asked Sakura inquisitively. Mission, said Kakashi suddenly, sorry. Wasn't paying the greatest attention. Like you ever are, said Naruto simply. This is no joking matter you know, said Tsunade with a bite of impatience in her voice, piles of organs are not attractive. Fine, fine, said Naruto grudgingly. Very well, said Tsunade authoritatively, get ready, you leave in half an hour. Naruto was standing against a tree just outside the village waiting for everyone else to arrive. He hadn't really said anything to Hinata when he had left the Hokage's office because he was still fearing for his life, but had hastily told her that he would meet her outside the main gate and given her an infinitesimally small hug as he could feel Neji and Kiba around the corner. A voice suddenly spoke out from just a few feet away. Identifying the source of the voice, Naruto found it to be Shino, crouching in a tree branch. Naruto, said Shino as he jumped down from the tree, I see that you're dating Hinata. Naruto blanched. Don't tell me I have to catch S from you too, Shino. Said Naruto helplessly. Shino shook his head. I don't intend to lecture you or threaten you, he said calmly, I simply want to warn you. Kiba is more determined than I will ever be to provide a reaction to suggestive situations. Short of king or raping Hinata, what you do with her consent, is not my business and as such, displays of affection towards her do not bother me. Naruto smiled. Thanks, he said, sounding relieved, it'd bad enough with Neji and Kiba breathing down my threatening to K me. Shino nodded. He turned around and resumed his usual quiet contemplation of whatever it was exactly that he would think about. At this point Naruto felt something soft cover his eyes, accompanied by, guess who, Naruto-kun. I don't know, asked Naruto, playing along, Neji. The voice giggled. The world appeared before him, but now a lavender-eyed individual was standing in front of him, smiling happily. You must be bad at guessing then, said Hinata, it's me. She hugged him, resting her head on his chest. Naruto returned the embrace, absent-mindedly rubbing the top of her head with one of his hands. It'd be really bad if you actually were Neji, said Naruto, laughing, I'd probably be S. You will be if you try anything funny at all, said a voice above his head. Naruto felt as if ice had plunged into his stomach. Hinata looked up innocently from his chest at the figure standing in the branch above them. Naruto looked up as if the gods themselves were delivering a massive, coordinated finger all at once, fusing into one giant super finger, threatening to crush him and his existence. Had Neji known he had evoked this kind of effect, he probably would have been very pleased. At the moment though, his face was set in a cold and hard expression and his tone was mouse. If you violate her innocence, he began, hell itself shall reconsider how terrible damnation can be. Naruto felt his legs give out. He had stared death in the face before, even taunted it openly, but this was simply S. As the sadistic fates would have it, the fact that Naruto's legs had given out meant Hinata no longer had her body weight pressed against anything and she fell forward as Naruto fell back into the tree. Hinata felt her face press into the sea of Naruto's pants. Naruto felt himself almost pass out. You, no one can possibly be that stupid, said Neji, panting, you. Neji launched a kick of epic proportions directly at Naruto's head, but felt himself be blown back almost immediately. Looking up in slight pain at whom had hit him, he noticed it had been Hinata. A small crater was beneath her. She had stopped his kick with the 8 trigrams heavenly spin, albeit greatly toned down so as to not hurt Naruto. It's not good to make such hasty assumptions, Neji, said Hinata, a sharp edge in her voice. She helped Naruto up. Kiba had arrived moments before to see what had happened. Okay, I guess I'll leave the little punk alone when he's with her then, thought Kiba a bit nervously, don't want to get on that bad side. Kakashi, Lee and Sakura showed up last to find everyone in a rather odd state. Naruto and Hinata were sitting under a tree, holding hands and staring at nothing in particular. Shino had been staring at the sky and Neji and Kiba were standing together, looking mutinous. Nice to see everyone is so cheery, said Kakashi rather densely. Kakashi-sensei, where do you get that? Asked Sakura disbelievingly. Okay, so Naruto and Hinata are cheery, admitted Kakashi. Don't tell me you're a sucker for cute couples, said Sakura, a tone of knowing accusation in her voice and a sly grin on her face. What gave you that idea? Said Kakashi. He was thankful his mask didn't betray his true feelings. He was blushing a bit. Lee had run over to Naruto and Hinata and not heard a word they'd said. He outstretched a hand to Naruto, a determined look on his face. I wish to formally congratulate you, Naruto, said Lee. Naruto shook his hand rather awkwardly and mumbled his thanks. Everyone, called out Kakashi, more to get Sakura to stop pestering him about how he may or may not find Naruto and Hinata cute. We have to get going. Come on. The trip was uneventful, and after a quick of clothing into more tourist clothing, the group located the hotel. Everyone's jaws drop, and Neji and Kiba looked immediately at Naruto and Hinata. The couple was blushing noticeably, the same looks of surprise on their face. This is like something Jiraiya would plan, said Kakashi, amused. Back in the village hot spring, Jiraiya sneezed, giving away his peeping position and earning him a wailing. The group was standing before Hotel Ero Ero X. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.